Welcome to Cool2Craft. I'm Tiffany Windsor.
And I'm Heidi Borchers.
Today's show is all about burlap.
It's a fun fabric, and I made a pillow today. It's made out of different sweaters and fabrics that I found at thrift stores, and lots of fun things, cool buttons.
Candace Jedrowitz is going super chic. She's created a chic necklace featuring burlap beads. And I'm creating a vintage Mama Aline project. It's burlap fringed flowers. Pretty cool. Don't go away, we'll be right back. I can't believe that we've dedicated an entire show to burlap.
It's absolutely amazing, isn't it? You know, I recently went to a vintage show, and it was kind of a lot of shabby chic things, but they were showing burlap upholstery, burlap pillows. They had screens, like dividers that had burlap on it. It was truly amazing, and it looked fabulous.
Well, burlap can take on a lot of different looks. It can go with a lot of different decor depending on what you team it up with.
Right, and you could even paint it too if you wanted to.
When we were kids, Mama Aline crafted with burlap. It was very economical. I don't remember what we just paid for this.
It was funny because we paid for two grades. One was like $5.99 and one was $7.99. I could not tell the difference between the two grades.
Okay.
A little bit different in color, and they said, well, some of them had a little bit more knots and things. I didn't see that in the yard that I bought of each of them.
So the price has gone up quite a bit over the years because, of course, history, I'm sure you can go online and search this, but there was clothing that was actually made from the grain bags or the flour bags, which were...
They took advantage of them, right?
Burlap, right. So now we get to craft with them.
Yes, we do. Today on the show, I am showing you how to do a pillow with an owl theme, and I used a lot of fabrics that I found at like thrift shops, upcycling, and some fabulous buttons. Take a look. Today I'm using the Aline's Fabric Fusion Glue. It's permanent and it's dry cleanable, so it's perfect for the pillow that I'm making. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put a tape nozzle onto the glue because I want some fine lines of the glue on my project. Just take the tape, put it over the nozzle, and then just twist it into a thinner nozzle. That way the tip is just very, very thin, so it comes out in a very thin line. I'm using burlap today. Burlap is lots of fun to work with. But when you use it for fraying, you want to put a line of glue where you want it to stop fraying. So here's where my nozzle comes in handy. I'm going to go, I have my ruler here, 1/2 inch in. I'm going to go all along the ruler with my line of glue. And stop about 1/2 inch from either side. And do that all the way around and then let it dry. And then you can fray, and it'll fray right up to that glue. And then it'll stop. You can do it on all sides. And on that side, that's the 1/2 inch, and the glue is right here. Now to put our owl motif onto the background, I'm using all kinds of different pieces of fabric, things that I've gathered at the thrift shops, sweaters, shirts, just all kinds of things. This was a sweater that I found at the thrift shop. I really love the color, so this is what I'm using for the body. And then there was like a man's shirt that I picked up, kind of a cool silky fabric that we're going to use for the eyeballs. I also found this really cool. It was just a child's shorts, but look at how rich, the rich chocolate velvet. That's what we're going to use for the branch. And a couple more of my favorite sweaters that just got to be too used to wear, but they're nice texture, nice color. So since I'm making a pillow, and this is going to be an insert, I'm going to need an insert that's going to be a 12-inch insert. So I'm going to do I'll do my top piece first. Remember that you have to figure out where kind of the center of it is, because once you have your insert, it kind of puffs it up a little bit. So here's the branch that I've already cut out of the pants that I showed you there. And I found when I cut this, it kind of went under a little bit. So I took advantage of that. I put a little bit of glue on the back here. And that might even be a little bit long. I just freehanded everything and figured I just would trim it down as I put it on. So I'm going to glue that over a little bit. I want to get some glue on this other edge here. Again, using this nozzle, the tape nozzle, was working perfectly because I can just get a fine line of glue. And I'm just turning that over. And it gave me a little bit of dimension where it sticks up a little bit. Put a little glue under here. And because I want that just to kind of go under, I'm going to just push it under a little bit. And you might even want to have some pins to hold it in place till it dries. It doesn't take very long for it to dry. And I wait to glue these after it's on, the rest of it's on. But let's go ahead and put on the owl. I took my pattern and I cut out my sweater. And he's just kind of sitting right on the top. So what I did is I put this up. I figured out where I wanted it. Lift it up. Put some of the glue all the way around. I did like half at a time, so I'm going to put the bottom half first. Put it down. Flatten it out nicely. I love this glue. You just use a tiny bit. It does not soak through. Don't use too much because it just takes a tiny bit. Go up till just about where you're going to fold it. And then this part is going to go folded over, and that's going to make his head. See where I put the glue here. Fold it over. And that makes his head. And then I have other parts that are cut here. Let's see. I used a template and just cut my different shapes or my different circles out of the different fabrics. So just one by one, you glue them together, just put a little glue, and because I'm kind of putting them off center, my glue is going to go a little off center. It's not going to go right in the center. Now I like this where it had a little bit more texture, so I kind of abuse it a little bit, wrinkle it up before I actually put it on to the owl face. I like that when it had a little bit more texture. A little bit of glue on the back of it. And we'll repeat on this one. The cool thing about the Aleene's Fabric Fusion is it is dry cleanable. So this pillow, when done and dried in place, it's actually dry cleanable. Okay, again, we're going to I've got some buttons here. These actually came off the purple sweater that I had there. And I didn't really want the little X's of the stitches, so I put on top of it a little piece of black felt. And there's another little piece that's wandering around here. Okay, the nose is next. Again, from a piece of sweater, and just put it all the way around. Put it into place. And for the leaves on the branch, we would put a little bit of glue under here. That's going to put it down. It's giving it time to just, you can see how fast it tacked. For the leaves, I cut 2 different shapes of just fabric, and again, kind of give them a little bit more shape. Put some glue on. And you would do it just like that. So next I'm going to finish putting the little feather pieces onto the owl, and it's another sweater. And just cut some triangles. And again, just put your Fabric Fusion right on the back. And then you can just put as many as you want on. I'll put a few more here. There's the other little black dot. I knew it was here somewhere. For the eye. I don't want that touching. See how I just kind of do it as I go? I don't necessarily have a pattern for it. Now over here I would probably add a few more leaves, and then I have these wonderful Blumenthal Lansing buttons. So I would just, again, put the glue on the back of them and glue them where I want. Super, super simple. Now, to put the pillow together, you don't need to sew it. What you can do is you can put glue on the other side, put glue all the way around, again a ½ inch, and put a solid line of glue, and then put your other piece behind it, leaving an opening probably at the bottom for you to stick your pillow insert into it. And then when you go to glue the last bit of it, just pin it together. So you can glue the whole thing together. Super simple, fun, and you have some new decor for your home.
I love the look of the burlap pillow.
It's so natural looking. It really goes into a lot of different decor.
And my sister really has me looking at the thrift stores a lot differently these days because I'm not going in to look for clothing to purchase. It's to cut apart.
So you mean you went in to look for clothing that you could wear?
I'm not supposed to do that?
I haven't done that for a long time because I usually end up using it.
So you shop all the departments
Mm-hmm.
in order to, you found a men's shirt to use for this, the kids' velour, velvet, almost a velvety
it's like a
looking fabric.
velveteen, yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. I'm a fabric person anyway. I love the different textures. I took tailoring and dressmaking in school, and so we were learning about all the fabrics and everything. So every time I go someplace, it's always I got to feel the fabric first, go through and feel the fabric, then I got to go look at the patterns, and then I choose the different things on what they cost.
It's so funny because we'll go to shop at the thrift store, but I don't even pay attention to what she's doing. And it's like, I'll have to look in her bag now and say, what are you creating?
Actually, what you did is when I put my project out on the table and I had that whole stack of fabric, that's when she was looking. She's like, you really got some neat things.
Yeah,
I do.
Pretty cool.
You
Thanks.
have to watch me closely.
Thanks so much for sharing
Uh-huh.
the burlap pillow. I
It's
think
fun.
it goes with a lot of different decor.
Actually, it might even go with my decor, my chocolate brown.
It actually will.
I think it will.
Candace Jedrowitz, it's so much fun when we put out the call for our show themes because we all come up with completely different ideas. It's rare if we ever come up with the same use for something.
Even if we say we're going to do a flower, we don't do the same flower.
Right. So today, Candace Jedrowitz, what came to mind for her was jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
So she would like to show you how to create burlap beads.
Hi, Candace.
Hi, ladies. Hey, welcome back to my studio where everybody knows your name and you're always glad you came. Let's do some treatment of burlap today with paint, with some glimmer and color. What do you think it is? It's burlap chic, and we're going there right now. Sit back and relax. The coin beads are made with a piece of embossing pewter, and this is medium weight, folded inside of the burlap, and then I'm going to run it through a die cut machine so that I can texture it. And it comes out textured on both sides, which I really love. Next, you'll want to antique it just a little bit with some black paint. And a nice stiff brush that you can get down into the holes with. Be careful not to go back and forth too much because it'll take the paint off. After you've done that, go back over it very lightly with a dry paper towel until you have the look that you want. If you have to put more back on, that's fine. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now let that dry thoroughly. Here's one that's dry, and you can see I've already started to color. I'm using a teal felt pen, or kind of aqua blue. And I'm just going over the textured and antiqued pewter. You don't want to go over it too much because once again it will pull it up. Next you'll cut your coins. And this is a 1/2-inch cutter. That's the perfect coin size for this necklace. And last, I'm going to poke a hole in it. No, I guess that's not last, but next. The last thing you'll want to do is put a sealer on it. I used a dimensional sealer, And it really makes the blue lovely. Makes it stand out and kind of look jewelly. The rolled beads will be painted just like the metal was, but you really want to work it in, and you'll want to paint it on both sides. And this will take a while to dry because you really want to soak the burlap. Here's a strip of the dried burlap, and you want to make sure that you trim off any of the ends that are going to give you trouble. So you're starting with a smooth edge, like that, and also over here. Cut a strip that's 1/4 inch wide. I've been using this stick already, so it's got some glue on it, but it will help you in the end. Start by just rolling up your burlap so that it begins to be a little flexible. I'm using Aleene's Original Tacky Glue here to finish rolling the bead. Not a whole lot of it. You don't really need a whole lot. Oop, there's a little end. You're going to get glue on your hands anyway, so go ahead and get them in there. And now roll it off by twisting the stick out of it, and that's going to help you compress that glue. And there's your bead. Now I'm going to use some Aleene's Flexible Stretchable Fabric Glue, and this is really fun. Watch. I have some green iridescent powder here. I'm just going to rub a little bit of the glue on my fingers. I'm going to pick up the iridescent powder. I'm going to roll it first, and then I'm going to go back and touch up any places that didn't get the green. So my main focus here is to show the texture of the burlap. I decided to make a frilly string for this necklace like Heidi likes to do. I just love her stuff. And I used a black silk cord with this really interesting ribbon. I just kind of stitched it through so that it would twist, and then I tied knots and in the black cord and pushed up a whole bunch of the ribbon and then started again. Now let's put one of these together. I've got a black colored 18 gauge wire. I'm going to go about 1/2 inch into the wire and fold it, and then I'm going to crimp it. This will work fine on any way that you like to bead, though. If it's different than mine, I'm going to slide on the coin, close that back up. I'm going to grab hold of the loop, bend the short tail around, I'm going to use the chain nose pliers to finish it. There we go. Now I'm going to put these 3 little silver beads on, because when you slide on your burlap beads, they kind of shake all around, rattle all around, and they don't want to lay straight. So if you give them a core, they'll lay much nicer. And then this lovely iridescent blue, green, and pink bead. I just love that. That's really going to complement the necklace. And the last part is to make a loop at the top. There's your finished bead. And I made some pretty large jump rings to attach them to the necklace because you want them to be nice and fluid. When you move, they'll move. And there you have it. When I first started thinking about manipulating burlap for this project, I had no idea that it could look that cool. I hope that you're inspired to try it. I hope you make matching earrings. And if you do, I want to see. Email me high-resolution photos and your story, and I'll share them on our website. Thank you so much for having me. Stay crafty, my friends. Back to you, Tiffany and Heidi.
Thanks so much,
Those were
Candace.
so cool.
Isn't that great?
Wow. It shows you how versatile burlap is.
Pretty cool. Oh my gosh. I dug into the Aleen's archives. As soon as we talked about burlap, I can remember seeing these flowers years ago, years and years and years and years ago. And I haven't seen anyone else reproduce them.
I haven't either. They're just they're so easy and they're so cool.
Right. So what I want to show you is how to create the vintage Mama Aleen fringed burlap flowers. I am using the Aleen's Original Tacky Glue in the Tacky Pack Try Me size. This is a great size to tuck into your purse, put into your craft toolbox, or tuck away into your kitchen drawer. The instructions for this project go back to the 1960s when Mama Aleen wrote the instructions. It was an entire book on burlap projects. To create this project, you need several pieces of burlap. For the small bud-sized flowers, you need 6 by 5 inch, and for the full-size flower, you need 6 inch by 18 inch piece of burlap. The first step is to apply a line of the Aleen's Tacky Glue along both edges. And I like to use just a piece of cardboard for a squeegee. This smooths out the glue and presses it right into the burlap. So you want to be sure that you have an even coat of glue along both edges. Set this aside to let this dry until your Aleen's Original Tacky Glue is completely clear. When the glue is completely clear and dried along the edges, it's time to start pulling out the long threads. Start in the middle, find a thread, and pull. You will continue to do this until you have removed all of the long threads right up to your glue line. When all of your long threads are removed, your piece of burlap will look like this. So this is the larger piece, the 6 inch by 18 inch that I'm going to use for my large flower. The next step is to apply a line of my Aleen's Tacky Glue along the edge. Smooth it out. Again, you could use your squeegee, or I'm just using my fingers. And be sure you go all the way to the end. Fill in any gaps that you have with glue, and then you fold this over. Line up your edges and just press to hold in place. I'm going to set this aside just to hold for a few minutes while I'm working on the center of my flower. For the center of my flower, I am using a large button with a shank on the back and a piece of 18 gauge wire. Bend the wire over, insert it through the shank, snug it up right underneath the button, and use a piece of florist tape to cover your wire. To use the florist tape, you just stretch it and begin wrapping right at the base where the wire meets the button. This gives you a nice finished surface on your stem. When you come to the end of the stem, if you have extra tape, you can just tear it and press it back into itself. So now we have adhered the button onto the stem wire. The next step is to put a line of your Aleene's Original Tacky Glue along this folded edge. If you have any extra pieces that are sticking out, you can cut those off. Be sure you have your glue all the way up to the edge. And then lay the stem wire. So you want the base of your flower right at the end of your folded burlap, and you start tightly rolling this right around your stem. Continue to roll until you have reached the end of your burlap. Be sure to keep it tight as you roll. I want to be sure that I have plenty of Aleene's Tacky Glue at the end, and just press that right into place. Give it a good squeeze, make sure it's tight. Then all you need to do is pull that button down into the center, arrange all of your petals, all of that fringe exactly where you want it. Then you apply your Aleene's Tacky Glue to the back of your button. Carefully place it down in the center and pull so that it's nice and snug. And there you have a beautiful burlap fringe flower. To create the bud, I glue along the edge to fold over just like I did on the large flower. Press it to hold in place. Apply another line of Aleene's Tacky Glue. Take a piece of 18 gauge wire, fold it down, and just glue this around your wire. And you have a beautiful bud. What you want to do to secure the bud onto your stem is to once again use your florist tape and tape it firmly around and down the stem. You can open this up to give you a little bit larger flower or keep it tight for a bud. So you can see that these make a beautiful arrangement, or you can use each of your flowers individually. Did you remember these from when they when they first came out in the 1960s?
Because I was working in the store, in Mama Aleene's retail store at the time.
And so did you make any of these?
Oh, tons of them.
I was amazed how easy that they are to make, and it's so funny because this is what you're going to have. I have burlap threads now, a whole container of burlap threads.
Burlap thread, that's cool.
But what's so great about these flowers is you can, there are beautiful bridal bouquets that I have seen online from Burlap.
Oh, wow.
And so they're taking on a whole different range of uses than what they were traditionally used for, which was to arrange them together and into beautiful bouquets. So, yeah, of course, there's wreaths, the bridal bouquets that I just talked about, headbands. They're using the burlap flowers on the headbands, and bulletin boards, pins to put into the bulletin boards, hats. So there's a lot of different uses. What I love about this with burlap is they're so light and airy, because a lot of the burlap flowers feel very heavy.
You know what's really cool too is because I could put that in my home decor and it would look one way, and you could put it in your shabby chic and it would look totally a different way.
Right, and what I would do is I'd change out the button to a different color. This is your color. It's a button I got from Heidi.
I was going to say, is that my button?
It's your button. Yes, but you brought it to me.
Yes.
So I would definitely use something more in the ivory and maybe even pearl for my decor.
Yeah, very cool.
So can you tell I'm really excited about those? Also, I will finish this up for Almost Dailies, but I wanted to see if we could take some fabric spray and change the color, of course, of the burlap. And so I'm going to finish this up, yes. And I have a couple of fun hints for you in Almost Dailies this week. Fun show with burlap today.
It is. There's so many things you can do with it. I mean, even from the book that Mama Lean did in the 60s, there was draping with burlap, and really cool. Cool that it's still here, it's still around.
We're going to have to dig in there and see what other projects that we can share with everyone. Let's go ahead and do a recap of today's show.
Okay, I did a pillow with a owl on it, and all the fabrics were from thrift store finds or things that I discarded. So it's all upcycling all the fabrics, some cool Blumenthal Lansing buttons that really made the perfect flowers onto the pillow.
The one thing we've talked about on today's show is burlap is so versatile. Candace J. created this stunning necklace featuring burlap beads.
Very cool.
And I dug into the Mama Aline archives to create fringed burlap flowers. These have a very lacy effect. They're very
airy,
light
yes.
and airy, and they are quick and easy to make.
They are. So that's all for today's show. So
what do we do next?
She always asks me this. My mind isn't on that. It's on this.
So we invite everyone to join us at Facebook.
Facebook / Cool2Craft is the place to be, because that's where we do all of our posts. Well, she does most of them on the show and different things that we're doing. And be sure you go to Cool2Craft.com, because that's where all the instructions are, the videos, and everything that we're doing is on Cool2Craft.com, the newsletter. It's your turn.
When you go to Cool2Craft.com, in the upper right-hand corner, you can sign up for our Cool2Craft Fave Crafts newsletter.
If you're looking at this live, it's up here.
If you're at Cool2Craft.com, it's right up here. And it's real easy to, at the very top of the page, you can sign up for the Cool2Craft Fave Crafts newsletter, or you can sign up for Almost Dailies. We've mentioned a couple times during today's show that we're going to have some bonus features in this week's Almost Dailies.
Because that's the place to find all of it. Don't put the blooper that I did earlier. Please don't put the blooper that I did earlier.
Oh my gosh, there'll be some day
what
when
can I do? What can I do?
there'll be one day when I'm just going to do that and put it in. So we can't tell them.
No.
Okay. All right. So why'd you bring it up? I wasn't going to bring it up.
I just want to make sure you don't do it.
So we hope that we've inspired you to get out and craft with burlap, because it has its own show today.
Yeah.
I mean, what more could you ask if you were some sort of material in the craft world than to have your very own show?
Cotton doesn't get its own show. Nylon doesn't get its own show. Burlap, yes.
Get creative.
Get inspired.
Be cool. Bye.